Hello, this is Dr. Steve Hodsey with Conservative Republicans of Texas, and I'm here to discuss with you a great concern. As a matter of fact, it's a grave concern I have that the Democrats are the Socialist Democrats, oh no, they're not socialists, they're Communist Democrats, the Marxist, Communist, Socialist Democrats are going to steal this election through voter election fraud in two ways. Ballots by mail, and secondly, with computer election fraud. Now, most metropolitan areas in the country are controlled by the Democrats. In Texas, the county clerks in Texas, in most counties, run the election. They're in charge of it. In Harris County, Chris Hollins is the county clerk. And I'm going to tell you, we've uncovered through our investigators a massive voter fraud scheme in Harris County. And I've been concerned about this for months. We have filed petitions for writ of mandamus before the Texas Supreme Court asking them to do several things. One, to block the Secretary of State Ruth Hughes from implementing the executive orders of Governor Abbott, which are unconstitutional, when he suspended the Texas election code and expanded the election time of early voting by an additional week, and then allowed the county clerks, the Democrat county clerks, to ask him to receive ballots by mail at their annex offices. And that's a big problem. When you turn in a ballot by mail early in person, I thought a ballot by mail was to be mailed in. That's why you request a ballot by mail. If they say, well, we're doing this to protect people from COVID, why would you have that? If you really believe that story, and I don't, but if you believe that they could get it that way, why would you have them walk in and turn something in when they could simply mail it in? Well, the reason the Democrats have set up these 11 annexes to receive ballots by mail is because they want to use their vote harvesters who go out into the community and literally pick up ballots from people. And the way they've done this is they're doing a mass mailing to all the registered voters in Harris County. They've already mailed to 65 and older. As of today, which is the first day of October, Friday, October the 1st, they already have printed, in contradiction to the order from the Supreme Court, they've already printed ballots to mail to everybody 65 and under. That's another 2.2 million ballots that they want to disperse throughout the community. And guess what? That gives them huge amounts of additional votes within the Democratic districts. You may not know this, even in a high election year, a turnout, presidential election, only 50% of the people who are registered even vote. Now they're going to send out ballots to every registered voter in contraindication to what the Supreme Court has said. I am believing they're going to do that because they just printed the ballots and they have had them delivered to the mail house. Even though the state Supreme Court has said they can't do that right now, as they're working on deciding a petition for writ of mandamus. A writ of mandamus is a writing that mandates a lower official to do something or not do something. Well, they've said, stop, you can't send it out until we make a decision on Dr. Hodsey's writ of mandamus. Well, he's printed the ballots anyway, and he's got them at the mail house. You know what the penalty is if the county clerk, the Socialist Democrat county clerk, whose name is Hollins, Chris Hollins, if he mails them out, you know what the penalty is in the Texas election code? Nothing. There's no penalty at all. Now, the Texas Supreme Court could hold him in contempt and throw him in jail, but they're not going to do that, because I've had numerous petitions in front of the Texas Supreme Court asking them to stop the governor's unconstitutional, illegal executive orders that have closed down businesses and regulated them and regulated churches and set up contact tracing and have masking orders, and now suspended the laws of the state as far as the election code go for the last 7 months without even convening the legislature in session. I've asked them to rule on that, and they keep ruling on procedural. And here's what they've said in their decisions. We don't have any jurisdiction over the governor. That means the governor doesn't fall under the law. Jurisdiction means juris is law, diction means telling the law. They say he doesn't fall under our jurisdiction. Well, I would ask the question, if the governor of the state of Texas doesn't fall under anybody's jurisdiction, the Supreme Court or any other court, who's over him? Nobody. He can do everything he wants without any question. And unfortunately, most Republicans, this goes for our Attorney General Paxton, Lieutenant Governor Patrick, most of the state senators and state legislators that are Republican, even the Supreme Court, have been unwilling to challenge our governor's unconstitutional actions. I'm most concerned about the most recent one, is changing the Texas election code. Why in the world would we give the Democrats, who we know cheat in elections and steal elections through mail ballot fraud, and this is how they do it. They go to the nursing home, they get a list of everybody in the nursing home. Of course, they pay somebody at the nursing home to get the list. They're working in cahoots. It's a conspiracy. 2 or more people are working together to break the law. That's a conspiracy according to criminal law. When 2 or more people conspire together to break the law, it's a conspiracy. So they're conspiring to cause these people to break the law. They get the list of all the names of the people in the nursing home. Then they fill out applications for ballot by mail away from the nursing home. And then ballot by mails get mailed to the nursing home. Their agent in the nursing home says, hey, we got the ballots, come pick them up. And they come pick up the ballots and vote them. Well, there are well over 200 nursing homes in the greater Houston area. And guess what? That represents upwards of 40,000 votes there. Now, I have investigators out that have investigated this, and they've talked to individuals who have worked with these individuals that are controlling ballot harvesting. And this would be County Commissioner Rodney Ellis, State Senator Boris Miles, Sheila Jackson Lee, a congresswoman, the mayor, Sylvester Turner. They are the kind of the head dons. They have capos. One fellow's name is Dallas Jones. He's been a known vote harvester, which, by the way, in Texas is a second-degree felony to go out and collect ballots and turn them in multiply. If you have a ballot by mail, according to the Texas election code, it has to be mailed in. It can only be turned in on election day at the county courthouse or at your precinct, and you have to have ID. You can't bring in multiple ballots. Well, the Democrats had it set up at these annexes that anybody could come in and pass in their ballot by mail. Now, why would people do that when they could mail it in? So that was a setup for these vote harvesters. Yesterday, our Republican Party of Harris County poll watchers went to the annexes, and they were told by Hollins, the county clerk's agents, you can't come in here. And they said, yeah, we can. We're here. This is a polling place. We're going to watch what you all do with the ballot. We don't want you in here. We're not going to let you come in. They said, well, let's just call the Secretary of State. The Secretary of State is appointed by our Governor, Greg Abbott. And guess what she issued from her office through her delegated representative? A note came back. You cannot have poll watchers at these annex offices. You can't have it. There was nobody that's going to guard the hen house except the foxes, and that's the Democrats. And so yesterday, I sent out an email statewide, and many of you received this to at least 80,000 Republican primary voters, and we blasted it out on our internal email list. And we asked you 2 days ago to start calling the governor's office and the Attorney General's office, in Lieutenant Governor Patrick's office, and the Supreme Court, and tell them you want them to enforce the laws of the state of Texas to protect voter integrity. Well, guess what? They heard the message. So today, I was informed by Senator Paul Bettencourt, who contacted the Attorney General and the Governor's office and said, look, you've got to have poll watchers. You cannot deny the fact that we need poll watchers at these polling places where they're turning in votes. And the governor, thanks be to God, and I'll give him credit for this, he listened to the grassroots for the first time. He sent a proclamation that said, yes, I'm going to make them election. So now it's a establishes the Texas Election Code, you can only drop in your ballot at one location. Unfortunately, they're still allowing them to take the ballots in every day, but there's only one location, the main county courthouse, and we are allowed now to have poll watchers there, so that's a break. We also have asked the Texas Supreme Court to invalidate the order that says we have to increase our voting by 1 week and allowing these ballot by mails to be personally handed in except on election day. So we have that case before the Supreme Court, and we're waiting to find out the results of that. That should be issued tomorrow on Friday, because they've had the case here and they've had hearings on it, so that should come out tomorrow. We also have a case before the court asking them to prohibit mailing applications for ballot by mail to those under the age of 65 at large. We want to stop that. According to the Texas Election Code, if you wanted a ballot by mail, you have to be 65 and older, or have a disability, or be going to be out of the state on election day. And you can send that in. You have to request the ballot by mail according to the Texas Election Code. And then you're mailed a ballot. It does not allow for the county clerk, and I'm particularly talking about Democrat areas, where they're want to mail everybody. And they want to do that because that's their system of creating voter fraud. They sign up these nursing homes, the homeless on the street. They create names where they'll have multiple people living at one address or at a vacant lot. It is a recipe for voter fraud. It creates an environment and an opportunity for the Democrats to carry out their massive voter fraud schemes. And I'm fighting against that with my attorney, Jared Woodfield, who's done a wonderful job in filing one lawsuit after another, trying to get the Supreme Court to get the chutzpah to stand up for election integrity. And I'm going to hold them accountable if they don't want to do that. By the way, we know that Harris County Clerk Chris Hollins has already had printed and at the mailing location the applications for ballot by mail to 65 and under. I'm going to hold Paxton personally responsible if he doesn't ask the Supreme Court to issue the authority to him to send in agents to capture those applications for ballot by mail. As I mentioned to you, if Holland mails them out, there's no penalty involved. So what's the reason? And once the cat's out of the bag, it's out of the bag. It's got to be stopped. And Ken Paxton, we've asked him to do that. When I hang up this Facebook now, I'm going to try to contact him again. I've emailed him about this. Texted him. I've texted other state representatives and state senators to ask him to ask the court to give him that authority to send in either DPS or local constables to take those ballots, to seize those ballots that they were going to send out to those that are under 65. So what I want you to do is continue to contact Abbott's office, continue to contact Paxton's office, Patrick's office, and the Supreme Court number, and tell our statewide elected officials we expect them to stop any element of fraud in our state that has to do with fraud in election fraud. We know there's a massive voting fraud scheme going on. By the way, Dallas Jones, who's one of the captains that does harvesting here along with Jared Womack, has been hired by the Biden campaign to be their state director to take this massive voter fraud scheme all over the state, particularly into the Dallas County, Tarrant County, Barrett County, and Travis County areas, and in the Valley, where they're going to roll up the votes. One of the soldiers for the captains that work for County Commissioner Ellis or State Senator Boris Miles or Sheila Jackson Lee or Sylvester Turner told us that they have boasted that they can acquire 700,000 illegal votes in Texas out of Harris County alone. Now, you get 700,000 illegal votes in Harris County, you have turned Texas blue. Trump loses, Senator Cornyn loses, the Texas legislature is controlled by the Democrats, and 4 Supreme Court justices are defeated. So I want you to know I'm doing everything in my power with my attorney Jared Woodfield and working with good legislators like State Senator Charles Perry and State Senator Pat Fallon, other state representatives like Steve Toth and Bill Zedlin, and other key state representatives that have been willing to put their name on the line. So I want them to know I'm proud of them, all the plaintiffs on our list. And by the way, I'm very proud of the chairman of the state Republican Party, Allen West. Allen West put his name on the line as a plaintiff in these petitions to the Supreme Court. And he put the name of the Republican Party of Texas on the line. And he's a man of courage. He's a man that will stand up against the powers to be when something's wrong. He's ex-military. He was a lieutenant colonel in the Army. He's an outstanding individual, a true patriot, and I admire him. He would make a great governor. I also want to commend Keith Nielsen, who's chairman of the Republican Party of Harris County, for standing up and for having the Harris County Republican Party stand up as plaintiffs in these petitions to the Supreme Court. And also Mark Henry, who is a county judge, Republican county judge in Galveston County, has put his name on the line. It takes a lot of guts to sue the governor, to sue the Secretary of State, to sue other officials. And these individuals have shown that they have the courage of their convictions. So I want to commend them for all that they're doing. Please keep the pressure on Governor Abbott, Lieutenant Governor Patrick, Attorney General Ken Paxton, and the Supreme Court. And by putting pressure on them, they're going to begin to put pressure on the local Democrats who have devised this massive vote fraud scheme. And my investigators are continuing to uncover, through talking to the soldiers who don't want to get indicted. By the way, the FBI is working on this as well, and we're in contact with them. So I will not be surprised at all to see that some of these individuals that are leading this voter fraud effort to be indicted and put behind bars where they ought to be for trying to steal the election. So I just wanted to bring you up to date on that, and I want to thank you for your diligent efforts in keeping our Republican legislators and statewide officials keep the fire under them so they would take action to protect election integrity in Texas. This is Dr. Otzi saying thank you so very much. I look forward to working with you as we take Texas back from these hoodlums and thugs and thieves and robbers that are trying to steal the election, and we keep Texas red. Thank you so very much.